Screenless. Hello and welcome to another episode of Creative Cuppa. I'm Gareth Davies, a composer for TV and audio producer for podcasts. And in this podcast, I chat to people from all over the creative industries. There are so many amazing stories out there. I feel like I'm in a very privileged position to sit down with my guests and learn about their creative journeys. Today is no exception. John Sewell has found a way to help artists sell themselves by creating something that's part platform, part shop window, and part community. I'll let him tell you all about it, but make sure you take a look in the show notes for the link to the website. You might enjoy scrolling through the fantastic art while you listen. So, without any further ado, if you have a cuppa ready, here we go. John Sewell, founder of Cosimo online art marketplace. Welcome to Creative Cuppa.
Well, thank you for having me. It's I've been listening to a few of the episodes and catching up, so I feel pretty privileged and happy to be here.
Ah, that's very nice of you to say. It's always nice to get good feedback, isn't it? So, John, you are not the John Sewell born in 1926 who became head of graphic design for the BBC in 1955.
No.
You're a bit young for that. And you're not the John Sewell, the publisher and bookseller born in 1734.
No.
But it seems that your name is synonymous with the arts.
And the other one I've got is Brian Sewell, who was the art historian and critic who, not that I'm aware of, there's no family ties there, but I have been asked that before. Yeah,
you should do Who Do You Think You Are or something on there. You never know, do you? The connections that you might find. No. I wonder if there is something in the genes for creativity. But you are the founder, as I mentioned, of an online marketplace. Cosimo.art just relaunched with lots of exciting things lined up. What can you tell me about that? And how was the relaunch?
Yeah, so the relaunch has been going really well. We, as with any kind of techie project, there were a few glitches along the way, but we've kind of ironed those out now, and it's everything's kind of set up and working really well. But I suppose it's best to probably give an overview of the concept behind Cosimo and where it's come from. Essentially, I was working a few years ago for various arts organisations and galleries, and I felt that there was an issue with how commission fees were affecting both buyers and sellers. And I launched, as it was then, Easel, to basically try and break apart the kind of traditional way of buying and selling art and put the power in the hands of the artists and allow them to sell directly to their buyers without commission fees. And instead of charging the commission fees, we give artists access to the platform through a subscription service, essentially, which allows them to list their work, as much work as they want, as much as they can, to whoever likes their work, which hopefully removes some of the kind of traditional gatekeepers and makes it easier for people to get access on both sides of buying and selling.
Fantastic. And does that come in tiers, or you mentioned they can sell as much as they want?
Yeah, so we do have a couple of different tiers available, and they are primarily at the moment relating to how much support and community access they get. So the basic tier just gives them tools to access to the site. They can sell and manage their orders and track everything and that sort of stuff. And then we've got two higher tiers called the community and growth packages, and the community plan gives them access to partner discounts and monthly webinars to try and help through the many challenges of being an artist, particularly in the early stages of their careers, as well as kind of extra community resources, ebooks and stuff that we put together. And then the growth plan, they get the same sort of stuff, but in a one-to-one context. So they will meet with me once a month and we'll just go through stuff, look at how their work's selling, how they can maybe improve stuff, how we can help them. What we're trying to do is to help a lot of artists navigate selling their work, which is obviously not an easy thing. I mean, and a lot of artists they want to put all their effort into making stuff, and the selling can actually sometimes be a bit of a pain, really. So we want to try and help make that as easy as possible and guide them through that process as much as we can.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, the creative industries are one of the biggest industries in the UK, and yet the concept of creativity and monetizing creativity is quite an odd concept to grasp, and especially for creators. You know, you don't get into it to be a business person or a seller. You get into it because you love your art. So that's fantastic. You're basically coaching people through that process. I can see that there's a need for
and it's definitely, like I say, we work primarily with kind of younger emerging artists, and I've been in the industry for probably 7 or 8 years now. So, you know, I'm still kind of learning a lot of stuff as we go. But I think just because through running the business, I found I was going through business coaching, accelerator programs and all that sort of stuff. And I thought it's a shame that artists aren't getting just even someone to talk to about those sort of things, or with the community aspect of what we do, introducing, you know, the chance for artists to say to other people, other artists, I'm having this problem. How have you guys dealt with this? And that's been something that we saw that our artists were doing naturally anyway. So we wanted to try and formalize that and make it even easier for those conversations to happen.
Yeah. You know, I'm a composer, and when I came into the composing industry, I saw lots of other composers who were quite guarded about what they do. You know, along the way, I think it's way better to be open and friendly, and you
Definitely.
just don't know what will happen. You know, collaborations happen and things like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm interested to know, you say you've been in the industry 7 or 8 years. How you got to this point? You've worked with artists over your career, haven't you?
Yeah. So I was studying art history at university, partially because I enjoyed history at school, I enjoyed art at school, and I couldn't choose between the two.
Didn't I see somewhere about art and drugs?
Yeah, so I did my bachelor's and master's both at University of Birmingham. And as my research developed through those courses, my specialism sort of ended up being the history of art and narcotics and the crop.
It's unique.
Yeah, it was a fascinating kind of journey to kind of go through, because it's not been looked at in too much detail before. There's some really great histories of drugs and writing, and it's not necessarily, you know, artists taking drugs, although there was an element of that, but it's more how artists have depicted addiction and how, you know, that has reflected societal changes to drug use. So that was kind of where I ended up having my focus, which, you know, obviously very different to what I do day to day now with the business. Yeah. But it was when I was studying art history, and I was really just trying to figure it out. I knew I wanted to work in the arts industry, but I had no idea really what that would look like. So I decided I was just getting experience I was working for an art trail and a local gallery in the Lake District, where I'm kind of from originally. And that's when I started to work closely with artists and see some of the difficulties they were facing. And then, that evolved into the platform. And it's in that capacity then, that's where I've been really kind of working with a small number of artists over the last couple of years who are kind of, you might say, are kind of early adopters, to build a platform around what their needs are and really work closely with them. So I've worked with the artists on other projects as well for other kind of freelance work I was doing along the way, and I've done a bit of curating. So it's been all sort of stemmed from my art history degree and knowing I wanted to work in art and with artists, but never really, it wasn't until I sort of started the business and threw myself in at the deep end, I suppose, that I realised that this is kind of where it would lead me.
Do you find that, because you're based in Birmingham, aren't you?
Correct.
Do you find that you are drawn towards the art scene in Birmingham, or because of your platform, you're kind of looking outwards?
Yeah, well,
to the rest of the world.
No, definitely. It's interesting, because I think Birmingham is a really great city for the creative industries, and increasingly so with the Commonwealth Games coming up. There's a lot of energy and momentum, I think, building, not just in the city generally, but particularly with the creative side, because it's something that I think the people who are marketing the city, on a higher level, I think they realise that that's kind of our cultural capital, I suppose, is in the creative industry. So it's a really kind of vibrant scene, I would say. But I've also been fortunate enough to work, with some artists from all over the place, some of whom are now based in Birmingham but have come from elsewhere. I've also been introduced to, people in places like Costa Rica and learned about the art scene over there and, amazing kind of stuff going on there. So my vision is that Cosimo will take over the world someday and we'll have a kind of much broader reach. But yes, we're kind of UK based at the moment. But like I say, we're primarily in Birmingham at the moment. We've got a lot of Birmingham artists on there, although we have artists from all over the UK. But having that kind of hub, I suppose, at this stage has been really useful, not only for us, building the platform and making it work for the artists, but also just as a region, the West Midlands is putting a lot of support into creative businesses like us. So it's been really great.
Fantastic. So artists coming into the industry, you've got a growth plan for them.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give artists and any creative people really entering the creative industries about monetizing their art?
So one of the biggest bits of advice I give to artists generally is just get yourself out there and build a network, not only of other artists and creatives. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier. You have to kind of start treating what you do as a business. So you need to start to think like, I could go to this networking event as an artist, which is a business networking event, but there's people there that could introduce me to opportunities and funding pots, and there's all these sort of things going on. But if you stay too close to your own kind of network and you don't branch out, it's like any business. You'll struggle to expand and grow and find those new opportunities, and you'd be surprised where those opportunities would come. I think in the arts, people think everything is in the arts, but they'd be surprised to see that a lot of other people are very interested in art and they want to get to know artists and they want to work with artists. So just, expand your network and don't be shy about treating things like a business. At the end of the day, it's something I've spoken to a lot of artists about. You have to make money to keep doing this thing that you love doing. So you just have to figure out the ways that works for you and that you're comfortable with to do that. But you have to be confident in those sort of settings, really. And we're very lucky to have resources like LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok or whatever to enable some of those networks now as well. So it doesn't have to, you can do it quite easily and digitally. But just get your name out there and you never know who or what opportunities will arise.
Absolutely. It's letting go of that comfort blanket, isn't it? And not hiding away and just creating.
Yeah. And I mean, the artists that I see that are the best, at least that, they're the most exciting in some ways, are the ones that just put out every day the stuff they're working on social media, and that, it requires a kind of level of vulnerability. But audiences love to see that. They love to see the process that gives them a connection. They see how you're growing. And it's, it's almost like, it reminds me when I was at school and doing art, you'd work on this sketchbook and then you'd have this final piece. And there's this kind of concept that there's this final endpoint piece kind of thing. But the process in art is really important. And people love to see that and they love to be let into that world, enabling other people to see into not only kind of how your work is made, but how your mind works. I think that's something that's really...
and taking the audience on the journey, isn't it?
Yeah, and they love to be part of that because it makes them feel special and involved and that they've been supporting you through that journey as well. So that's something I think is really important.
Fantastic. So, John, where can people find Cosimo and you online if they want to come and find out more?
Yeah, so cosimo.art is the home of the marketplace, and within that you can search for the artists who are on the site. If you're interested in cats, you want some cat art, search cats and see what comes up in the search bar. We're also on Instagram and Twitter at the moment. Just search Cosimo Art online on Instagram and we will hopefully pop up and if you give us a follow, we're always sharing our artists' work and trying to help give them a platform as well. So it'd be great if people could check it out.
Great. I shall add those links in the show notes so it's dead easy to find you online. But for now, John Sewell, thank you so much for joining me for a cuppa.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks again to John for his time. I really like how he's going the extra mile to support artists by coaching them as well as providing the platform for them to sell their art. I think that puts Cosimo apart from other online shops in that John's vision is based on community and support. As I mentioned, you can find the website in the show notes, so go and take a look. Creative Cuppa is produced by the Sound Boutique for Screenless, and you can find links to all of that as well. And if you're around on Friday at 9 a.m. and fancy meeting up on video with some creative-minded people, we have a cuppa and a chat for around half an hour in the Creative Cuppa Facebook group, so come along. It'd be great to see you. That's all for now, so until next time, be kind, be creative, and thanks for joining me for a cuppa.